Well, there are 1.2 billion youth in the world aged between 15 and 24. And according to the World Economic Forum, youth make up 17% of the world's population. And the International Labour Office estimates that almost 13% of those youths are unemployed. Well, youth entrepreneurship sees young people take on that challenge, creating work for themselves and for others. And joining us now to discuss further is Victor Salama. He's the Vice President of Business and International Partnerships at the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship, also known as NFTE. Yes. Pretty nifty name. Victor, good to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So Victor, as we saw in Michelle Begay's report from Colombia and Chile ranked by the World Economic Forum, surprisingly enough, as the countries with the most entrepreneurship, the most amount of people, young people as well, forging ahead with their own ideas and businesses. What is it that these countries are doing correctly?
I think there's a mixture of things. For one, there's a pretty strong entrepreneurial ecosystem around where young people can access technical assistance, they can access different educational opportunities in universities, and there's some microfinance available for entrepreneurial ventures. They don't have to be massive entrepreneurial ventures, but there's financing available, technical assistance. So there's a strong, growing ecosystem around them.
Is that ecosystem coming from the government? Is it coming from private enterprise? Is it coming from educational facilities? And what should a country like the US be doing to encourage the same kind of entrepreneurship spirit? The
ecosystem gets built by many factors in the society. I mean, certainly government has a role to play. In Chile, you've had different foundations that have invested in different sectors. Let's say the salmon industry of 30 or 40 years ago was something that the government started. So it's built by government, it's built by private sector, and it's built by universities. As for a place like the United States, we really feel like we need to get entrepreneurship education to a younger audience.
When you say education, is entrepreneurship something that can be taught? Is it an innate quality that you just have that spark, that idea, that vision, or is there actually a framework that you can teach people?
Yeah. I think at NFTE we truly believe that entrepreneurship can be taught. Yes, it's a process. You can focus on strengthening some of the mindsets of young people, but you can introduce them to a process where they learn how to recognize opportunity, how to manage risk, and that's something that can be learned and can be strengthened. So we truly believe that it can be learned, and it should be done at a very young age.
Why is youth so important? As Oscar Wilde says, youth is wasted on the young. What happens after 24? Are we no longer that innovative?
Well, let's face it. Risk is very difficult to undertake when you have a family, when you're set in your ways. So young people have a chance. They're almost blank canvases. So they can take that chance and take a risk and see innovation in different ways. Social media is bringing about new changes in our economy on a daily basis, and young people can see that and take advantage of it and jump into it.
So the less risk averse you are, the better, and that tends to go with youth.
Absolutely.
Well, you mentioned social media, and I imagine that has played a tremendous role in increasing the viability for investors in terms of marketing. How has technology encourage the growth of more youth enterprises?
Look, I think that technology and social media has broken down most of the barriers to entry. I mean, when you have an idea, there are platforms on the web that you can access for very little money. It doesn't matter sometimes where your location's at. previously geography was a barrier to entry. Now it's no longer the case, and you can market your product or your service to millions and millions of people with a couple of clicks. So it's a huge change.
So sites like Kickstarter, for example, you see are really making a big difference.
Absolutely. And it's great because not only are ideas being promoted out there from everywhere can be involved in the process. People can actually, with a couple of dollars, can invest in a startup, which is such a neat way to see growth and opportunity happen.
Are you seeing more of a trend towards a certain type of company that youth entrepreneurship is gravitating towards around the world? Is it more a technology-based type of industry?
It's all about service. It's all about customer care. It's all about getting sort of a technology product out into the marketplace. We see it everywhere, whether it's our program in China or a program in India or a new program in Singapore. It doesn't matter. Young people are gravitating towards using technology because, again, it's cheap, it's relevant, and it's accessible, and there's not a lot of startup costs involved.
Other than startup costs, and which we say has been a challenge that's been addressed quite successfully through social media and such, what are the other big hurdles?
Well, for one, finding your market, right? I mean, when you have an idea, you're looking for a marketplace, you're looking for your target audience. So one of the hurdles that people have is, how do you find that? Now, these days, it's much easier to find. First of all, you can do market research online, and you have the platforms by which to get your message out there. And with things like Facebook or Twitter or whatever, Instagram, you can get that message out there, and you can find your clientele much more easily.
And perhaps getting that initial idea is the biggest hurdle of them all.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much, Victor Salama, Vice President of Business and International Partnerships at the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship.